Hello everybody, this is Buddy. This is going to be a quick, short video. I just want to share this Facebook post and in which makes a point, and that's really important and a big part of this story. And so here, let me start. I posted yesterday, and I'm going to have to expand this. Click see more. I said, you'll have to uncover this photo. When I got to the hospital, I had 2 small holes in my foot, described by the ER doctor, who was the brother-in-law that I didn't know about, as a through-and-through gunshot wound that appears to have been from a shotgun. That was his words from the emergency room report. And I saw it. I saw my foot myself. I had 2 small holes in my foot, and it's backed up by the words or statements of the ER doctor. It's now believed that I was shot with a .45 handgun loaded with a special plastic tip pellet-filled bullet to make it appear that way. I recorded or documented a woman, Lisa Rogers, told me I shot with a .45 handgun. There wasn't enough physical room for me to be shot with my gun, and there's lots of evidence showing that I wasn't shot with my gun. And so we know somebody shot me. Okay, that took the x-rays. They took the x-rays of another guy that had been shot with a shotgun and put my name on them. This other guy was missing his heel bone, so they took me into surgery and cut my heel bone off to match the fake x-rays. Let that sink in. I was intentionally maimed, mutilated, and dismembered to cover up this failed for-profit murder that was going to make the sister-in-law of a doctor up there rich. Okay, and then came the repeated and desperate attempts to talk me into agreeing into an amputation. They were desperately trying to cut off the evidence of this, of what they'd done. This is sick crimes. It's been compared to Dr. Mengele from Nazi Germany. I mean, these are just, it's sick when you see what they did to me. And I was the innocent crime victim that crawled out to save my life after being ambushed and shot during a home invasion. Okay, and so here I'm going to first comment. When I got to the hospital, I had 2 small holes in my foot described by the ER doctor, brother-in-law I didn't know about, as a through-and-through gunshot wound appears. Okay, so I just copied and pasted what was above. And here is from the medical record, the Midland Memorial Hospital, and here's his words right here. Right ankle exhibits a through-and-through gunshot wound which appears to have been sustained by a shotgun blast. I made a big point of his choice of words where he said appears to have been sustained by a shotgun blast. And because what's interesting is it's now believed that I was shot with a handgun loaded with a special bullet, a plastic tip pellet-filled bullet, to make it appear that I was shot with a shotgun, because they knew I had a shotgun, and that way they could call my murder an accident, and my life insurance books had just been taken, and then that would add another half $500,000. Okay, so I had a little write up here. The ER doctor said through gunshot wound, etc. And the evidence seems to show that I was shot with a special ammunition to make it appear to look like I was shot with my shotgun. My x-rays were faked with a guy that had been shot with a shotgun. I suspect that he was shot 11 days before me. Okay, and that's interesting why I said specifically 11 days. This medical record was reviewed 68 days later on 4/5/12 by the ER doctor, and I don't think it's listed on here, but I have it. It's on the ER. The ER doctor went back, and every time you go back and look at it, it timestamps it. And I noticed that, here 2 months later, the doctor was looking for mistakes, whatever. And there were mistakes made. The doctor turned out to be my brother-in-law I didn't know about. And of course, the ex-wife's the one that told me the secret is a group of doctors are killing people for profit. But she never told me her brother-in-law was a doctor, and then he was my doctor on the night that I'm ambushed and shot, And she was the primary beneficiary, right, on my life insurance. My next comment is now believed that I was shot with a .45 handgun loaded with a special plastic tip pellet-filled bullet. Okay, so I have a little proof. And as I said, Lisa Rogers was documented telling me I was shot with a .45. What I'm showing over here is here's the lab report showing the size of pellets removed from my foot. Here is one of the shells that I had is showing the size of pellets in my shells. And here's a chart, and I'm showing that the size of pellets from my foot were 2.5 sizes different than what was in my gun, proving that I wasn't shot with my gun. And that's like saying the guy with the .22 didn't shoot the person that has a hole in him from a .45. Okay, y'all can understand that, right? I mean, ballistic evidence is used in court every day. I was not shot with my gun. The evidence is clear, and there's other evidence evidence to show that. We do know that I was shot 2 inches above ground level because of the entrance and exit wounds. So we know I wasn't shot with my gun, and I was shot from 2 inches above ground level. So we know where the shooter's gun was at. And this just happened to be 2 weeks after I reported a suspected tunnel to the DEA, who didn't look. And now multiple people are documented as saying tunnels, underground homes are here. You know, previous owner of my home, Ricky Ronaldo, or resident of this home, said, I used to live there. I said, oh yeah. He said, yeah, me and my brother used to go in the tunnels under that home. Okay. Here, this is a Glaser Safety Slug. Here's what I believe I shot with. And the reason is because these are special bullets that are plastic tip. Well, the surgeon stated in surgery he removed a lot of plastic from the wound. Well, you know, that wouldn't happen if I was shot with my shotgun, as was falsely claimed, okay? But this is a plastic tip pellet filled bullet, and the size of the pellets match what was removed from my foot, okay? And plus the handgun, it'll fit a 45. That matches what Lisa Rogers said, and it fits the space requirements because there wasn't enough room to be shot with a 4-foot long shotgun. So I believe I was shot with a special ammunition to make it appear, remember what the ER doctor said, make it appear that I was shot with a shotgun when that didn't happen. And that way they could call my murder an accident and collect that accident insurance, life insurance, as an extra $500,000. And the ex-wife had just taken them life insurance books that showed that. They took the x-rays of a guy that had been shot with a shotgun and put my name on them. This other guy was missing his heel bone, so they took me into surgery and cut my heel bone off to match the faked x-rays, okay? About a few months after the murder attempt, I got some x-rays, and I was suspecting they were faking my x-rays. This is from a radiological report, okay? And was ordered by my doctor. Here's Oduku is my doctor. He ordered the x-rays, and this is coming from Dr. Hinton. Thomas Hinton is the radiologist, okay? And what he says here is the gunshot wound injury was on 1/17/12, and he compared the x-rays there to other ones I had taken to 1/19/12, and then he did up his write-up about the shotgun and all that. The whole problem is I was shot on 1/28/12. That was 11 days after I shot. I knew this wasn't a typo because there's two different dates. I believe somebody else was shot in the foot with the shotgun on this date. They took his x-rays, they put my name on it. And there's other evidence backs that up, you know. And then they desperately tried to talk me into below the knee amputation. These are separate days coming in when I was in the hospital. And the top one was from the Detective Rosie Rodriguez. She's one of the main players. Come to find out, she was lifelong friends with ex-wife that's alleged to be involved in the shooting. And she mentions Buddy had surgery and his foot was not amputated. And, you know, and obviously I believe that Rosie Rodriguez was working with these doctors. I believe they were wanting to cut off my leg. They were wanting to dismember an innocent crime victim because I had survived a home invasion murder attempt. And it looks like it might have been police that shot me from under my home that tried to kill me, okay, because of a trap, burglar, etc. So you can see here, this is the top one's real interesting. This was from the discharge summary. An attempt was made to place him because we thought that the police department required that he not go home, okay? And eventually we found out that wasn't true, and he had been cleared by mental health services. See, all these people calling me crazy don't know that I was cleared by the doctors long time ago, right? Long time ago. But there was an effort made by these corrupt police to have me committed, and basically they were trying to cover up the crimes is what they were doing. They're destroying my life with them life-destroying lies, okay? But here we go. I offered this patient a right below the knee amputation, and that was one time. And then another time, I explained it might require amputation later, etc. Here's another day. I believe that his major problem may require a below-the-knee amputation. He does not wish to amputate. He's going to see if the limb could be salvaged. The patient has been warned this is not likely. He will consider a right BKA below the knee amputation. We had further discussions regarding care versus below the knee amputation over and over and over and over. They tried to talk me into allowing them to cut off the evidence of a home invasion, capital attempted murder, because they broke in my home and shot me by surprise. And I think we can all agree that anybody that loads their gun, breaks into a private home, and cuts the phone line, shoots the owner by surprise, that's a premeditated, capital attempted, cold-blooded murder is what that is. And God saved my life. Well, here's a woman yesterday, Kiandra J, and she writes, a 45 ACP wouldn't do that to your foot. She looked at the pictures, okay? And then at first, I got defensive right off the bat, and then I thought, you're right. That is because she looked at the pictures. And I said, that is correct. When I got to the hospital, I had 2 small holes in my foot described by the ER doctor as a through-and-through gunshot wound, but I was then intentionally maimed, mutilated, dismembered to cover up the failed murder. Do you know something about that? Now, I was asking her because, her comment here, a 45 wouldn't do that. She was arguing with me, basically. But I was like, oh, she looked at the pictures, and she's right, and she says, and it no way was a shotgun, you wouldn't have a foot, okay? And I'm, once again, I reply back, that is right too. The evidence is definitive that I wasn't shot with my 12-gauge shotgun, and it looks like I was shot with a 45 loaded with the special plastic tip pellet-filled bullet called the Glaser Safety Slug, so when I died, they could say I was shot with my gun and collect an extra $500,000. So it would appear to look like I was shot with my gun, okay? And then Kiandra says, oh, shit, right? Excuse the language there. And then I write back, the ex-wife that I'd filed divorce on 5 days before I was shot took my life insurance books when we separated a few weeks earlier, and they showed that I had an accidental death policy which added an additional $500,000 if her lifelong friend, MPD Detective Rosa Rodriguez, would rule my murder an accident. Her former boyfriend, Arthur Welch, posted on Facebook a few weeks ago that he overheard her planning my murder to steal my life insurance. He said that she told him that she would have him shot too. This was a for-profit, premeditated, capital attempted murder, and I'm supposed to be dead right now. Of course, the big prize is this home and the nearby underground home that was used for the underground parties, okay? And then I attached this print screen. This comes from the Facebook of Arthur Welch. You can go look up Art Welch, and it was on his Facebook. Just a couple of weeks ago, he posted this. Cops were recorded hiding evidence and laughing about this man being shot. I was dating this guy's ex-wife when I overheard her talking, and from the things I heard, she had tried to have him killed for insurance money, and to hear how many police were involved. One, her longtime personal friend. I won't let Buddy Webb be laughed at. Her final words to me was, I will have you shot too. Okay, he tagged me on that, and that's how come I was like, oh, I got tagged, and I went and looked at it, And so I come back later, and I put this link to this video, because this video has all the evidence here. I talk about the reports where the user interface, the lab tech, the time, the time stamps on the x-rays were 10 minutes before they were ordered. There's multiple proofs showing my x-rays were fake. And so I put, here's a fact-filled video showing proof of these horrific, nightmarish medical crimes that were done to cover up this failed murder and underground home parties. So you can go watch that Dr. Glass's wife, because I didn't go over that. I just talked about it in this one. It was a short video, but what I want to do is show you the picture. See photo. That's what remember, I got to the hospital and I had 2 small holes in my foot. And when I returned, the x-rays were faked. Lies were being spread that I shot myself with a 12-gauge shotgun. And they faked my x-rays with a guy that was missing his heel bone. And they took me in and they cut my heel bone off. And they cut me to make it look like I had been shot with a shotgun when that didn't happen. Remember, I got to the hospital with 2 small holes in my foot. That's what it looked like 2 weeks later. Keep that in mind. That's 2 weeks of healing. I can't even post this on Facebook because they'll cover it up. There's the back of my foot today. Okay, there's my foot today. That's what I walk on today. Now I'm disabled and living under the threat of death, and no justice has ever been served. It's Buddy Webb. Talk to you later.